The storm had rolled in fast, a curtain of dust and thunder swallowing the valley whole. The sun had long since bled out over the horizon, leaving only the pale flicker of lightning to carve out the silhouettes of two riders fighting the current of the swollen river. "Easy, it hurts," she moaned, her voice raw from the cold and the fear that had followed them for days. Silas Boone didn't answer. His jaw was set, his eyes fixed on the far bank like a man staring down damnation itself. The water clawed at his horse's legs, the current pulling with a strength that could strip a man from his saddle and bury him beneath. But he held her tight, his hand locked around her waist as if the river itself might demand a sacrifice, and he'd already decided it wouldn't be her. Behind them, lanterns bobbed through the rain. The McCready gang. They were coming. He could hear the hollers, the cracks of rifle fire echoing over the rush of the water. She turned her face against his chest. "You should have left me," she gasped. "They'll kill you for this." He almost laughed, hoarse, bitter. They were already planning to. Another shot split the air, close enough that the horse flinched. Silas shifted his weight, forcing the animal forward, deeper, until the water rose to their chests. The current tore at them, cold enough to numb bone. "Silas," she cried, clutching him as the horse stumbled. For a moment, they vanished beneath the flood. The world became soundless, weightless, just the river and the endless black. When they broke the surface again, she was coughing, gasping, her hair plastered to her face. He dragged her closer, his breath coming out in ragged bursts. "You keep your eyes open, Emma," he growled. "You hear me? Don't you close them." Her voice trembled. "Why are you doing this?" After everything, he didn't answer. Not with words. Not when his hands, blistered and bleeding, found the strength to pull them both against the current, toward the faint shape of land ahead. Because he'd already done the unthinkable, he'd betrayed his own blood for her. The thunder cracked like a gunshot overhead. Somewhere behind them, a rider screamed. One of the McCreadys swallowed by the same river they'd thought would be their weapon. Silas didn't look back. His world had narrowed to the weight of her in his arms, the burn in his lungs, the pounding of his heart that refused to quit even when everything else begged him to let go. The far bank was close now. Just a few more yards. "Silas," she whispered weakly, her fingers slipping from his coat. "Please." And for the first time, he faltered. The current roared louder, and in that wild, merciless sound, he made his choice that he turned against the current and did the unthinkable. The cold bit deep, like teeth gnawing at his bones. Silas could barely see through the driving rain now. Only flashes of silver lightning that caught the terror in Emma's eyes and the madness in his own. He was no longer fighting to reach the shore. He was fighting the current itself, dragging them backward, deeper into the roaring dark. "Silas," she gasped, her voice barely carrying over the thunder. "You're going the wrong way." He didn't answer. His arm was locked tight around her waist, his other hand gripping the reins like iron. The horse was screaming beneath them, its muscles trembling with exhaustion. "Trust me," he rasped. "Just hold on." Behind them, the riders had reached the bank, black silhouettes against the storm, torches raised, rifles glinting in the firelight. They thought he was trying to cross. They thought he was desperate. They didn't realize what he was doing until it was too late. The fallen pine lay across the middle of the river, half submerged, its branches like claws in the water. Silas steered straight for it. A suicide move. If you didn't know where the hollow was beneath it, a pocket he'd dug himself months ago while running whiskey through these same waters. "Hold your breath," he shouted. Before she could protest, the river swallowed them whole. The world turned silent again, cold, pressing, endless. The current slammed against them, dragging, spinning, tearing at limbs. He pulled Emma down with him, under the branches, through the hollow, lungs burning, eyes wide in the murky black. Then, suddenly, they surfaced behind the log, hidden in a small cove at the river's bend. The storm muffled every sound, the gang's torches flickering far upstream. They'd been swept past, yelling curses into the rain, none the wiser. Emma clung to him, shaking violently. Her lips were pale, her breath ragged. "You could have drowned us both." He stared at her, mud on her cheeks, fear in her eyes, and still, something deeper. Something that made his heart twist. "I'd rather drown," he said quietly, "than let them take you back." She blinked, tears mixing with the rain. "You don't even know what I've done." "I don't care." Lightning cracked, revealing the scars across his knuckles, the blood and the water between them. You think you're saving me, she whispered, but you're not. You're dooming yourself. He let out a long breath, chest heaving. Maybe that's the point. The thunder rolled low, like the growl of something ancient. He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face with fingers trembling from cold and truth. Emma, he murmured, tell me what they did to you. Her lips parted, trembling, not from the cold this time. They didn't just want me, she said softly. They wanted you, and I led them to you. The words hit him harder than the river ever could, and before he could speak, before he could move, she reached for the revolver at his hip. The storm roared around them. The revolver came up fast, faster than he thought her shaking hands could manage. The muzzle pressed against his chest, right over his heart. For a moment, neither of them breathed. Only the rain filled the silence, hissing against steel, skin, and river. Emma, Silas said, his voice rough and low. Don't. Her hand trembled, but she didn't lower it. Her eyes were wide, glistening with more than rain. You don't understand, she whispered. They said they'd kill my brother if I didn't bring you in. You were supposed to die at the crossing, Silas. You were never supposed to make it this far. He didn't move, didn't blink, just stared at her through the flicker of lightning that split the sky behind her. So you led me straight into their trap. Tears mixed with the river water running down her cheeks. I didn't know what else to do. He gave a dry, broken laugh, more like a breath scraping past a wound. And now you're pointing my own gun at me. Her hand shook harder. I don't want to, she whispered. But they'll come back for me. They always do. You think killing me is going to stop them? He asked, his tone darkening. You think that river can wash you clean after this? She swallowed hard, the weight of his words heavier than the gun in her hands. Lightning flashed again, and in that moment, she saw the truth in his eyes. He wasn't angry. He wasn't afraid. He looked like a man who'd already made peace with dying long before tonight. I told you, he said quietly. I'd rather drown than lose you again. Her lips parted. Again. He stepped closer, slow, deliberate. The gun stayed on him, but she didn't stop him. You don't remember, do you? He said. 2 years back, in Carson's Hollow. You were the girl they pulled from the burning barn. I was the fool who went in after you. Emma's breath caught. Images flickered in her mind. Flames, smoke. A strong hand pulling her through the dark. She had seen his face before, but she had buried it deep. With all the things she was trying to forget, her hand faltered. That was all the river needed. The surge hit them both. A sudden rush of water that knocked her balance just enough for the revolver to slip. It hit the rocks and went off. A flash. A sound that split the storm. Silas stumbled back, clutching his side. Emma screamed, grabbing him before the river could take him. Blood bloomed between her fingers, dark and hot, spreading fast. No, 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 she cried, dragging him toward the shallows, her voice breaking with panic. I didn't mean to. Silas, I didn't mean to. He coughed, the sound thick and wet. Still, he smiled. Told you it had hurt. She shook her head, sobbing, pressing her hands harder against the wound as thunder cracked above them. You're not dying here. Not like this. He reached up, his hand brushing her cheek. Don't cry, Emma. You still got time to make this right. Her tears fell faster, each one cutting through the mud and rain on his face. But what about you? She whispered as he looked past her, to the raging current still clawing at the world around them. His breath came slower now, but his eyes were steady. Don't worry about me, he said softly. I'm already part of the river. Lightning split the night again, bright enough to turn the world white. And in that flash, Emma realized what he was about to do.